Hey everyone, I am Chris Knight, and you are watching The Real Review 3000 here with a trailer breakdown for The Mandalorian trailer number 2. Now, I already did my reaction to this the other night on Shellback TJC's channel with Jasper Voorhees, I guess the lesser-known brother of Jason Voorhees. Got some beef with Shellback. Said Shellback was unavailable at the time, so I didn't ask any questions. But I will put the link to that reaction down below so you can see how I reacted to this. But we're going to break this down. I noticed some interesting things in this that I find interesting. Maybe you will. And then I will tell you what I like about it, the cool things I saw. And I'll pause it here and there. The first thing that was almost right off the bat, so I might have to pause it, go back, pause it, go back to point out what I'm talking about. So we're going to go over to a reaction screen, which even though this isn't a reaction screen, I call it the reaction screen. So, hey, headphones on, and we are going to go 3, 2, 1. Breakdown. Now, listen really quick here as he walks by. Right there. I am going to go back and I'm going to play this again. I want to see if you guys listen real quick here. Right there. What I hear is a lightsaber. I hear the zoom of a lightsaber, like when they carry it, not when they're really fighting hard with it, just the room. And I find it very interesting. It's interesting that I don't know if they're trying to insinuate something in there. It's kind of hidden in the music, but I'll play it one more time before we go. And here we go. Listen. Right there.
Is the world more peaceful?
I don't know what you think. So we can see a lot of Stormtroopers' heads right there. Obviously, there's still war and stuff going on. You know, it's obvious that this is after the fall of the Empire, but maybe there's still remnants of Stormtroopers and stuff. We'll see that here and there a little bit in this. This part right here. So these are blurgs, and we know that blurgs they're seen in the Ewoks Made for TV movie, and they were canonized by, I think, the Clone Wars. They're native to Endor and Ryloth. This looks more like it could be Ryloth, because it kind of looks like what it did in on the Clone Wars, and I'm pretty sure it's not Endor, but we do know the type of animals. And, you know, again, adding new features to the Star Wars universe in live action, it's kind of cool to see. So,
it is a shame
go here.
That your people suffered.
Now, the revolution that they're talking about could very well be the second Mandalorian Civil War. We see a lot of different things of Mandalore in the Clone Wars and in Rebels, so they could branch off into something else, but they're probably going to talk and maybe show parts of the second Civil War and other things. You know, they could be talking about the Mandalorian crisis of the Clone Wars, but again, I would say they're probably more likely to go with the second Mandalorian Civil War depicted on the final season of Star Wars Rebels. It could be something completely different, though. Considering that a lot of the people working on this have tie-ins to the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, they may just decide, like I said, to explore something new. So we don't know. Let's go on here. Now, these are Trandoshians attacking him. We've seen these animals before. The rifle there, to me, it looks like a pulse rifle, much like what Boba Fett has in the now infamous Star Wars Holiday Special. It's kind of hard to tell because of the speed of the shot, but again, there's a track record of Mandalorians using such a rifle, so it probably would be that. This scene right here.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
So we see the Mandalorian walking by no less than 4 blocks of carbonite with people, or with marks, or his targets in it. Now, if you remember, in The Empire Strikes Back, when they froze Han in carbonite, it was an experimental thing, and that Boba Fett was worried that it might kill him. Well, obviously they figured out that that was probably the best way to transport their marks and their targets, to keep them subdued, basically, and to make it easier on them. And obviously, a lot less space needed. Don't have to feed them or whatever, and you don't have to worry about them revolting against you, fighting you, trying to run away. So obviously, in this time, they've decided that this is the preferred method of transporting targets, marks, whatever you want to call them. The question is this strictly a Mandalorian thing? Is this just what Mandalorians do? Since Boba Fett and this gentleman here, are they both Mandalorians? So is this just a Mandalorian thing? We'll have to wait and see. Keep going here. We know his vessel is called the Razer Crest. It's right here. I will say this. I've heard people say, well, this doesn't look as good as a Star Wars film. I will say it looks more like television money going into it, but it still looks pretty good. I don't think it looks as crisp and clean as some of the movies, but for what I expect from this series, it looks good to me. And I like what we're seeing here. This is a different type of vessel, sort of. And so I like it. It looks cool. And again, it's a little different. And that's what's important in this, is so we get more stuff from the Star Wars universe. But we'll keep going here. Now we see him unloading his marks.
They said you were the best in the parsec.
Now, I want to know what a parsec is, because Star Wars does not use real math when it comes to parsecs, because parsec in our world is not the parsec that they consider in Star Wars. And I don't know if we've ever gotten a fully accurate measurement of a parsec. Maybe I'm going off on a rant there, but I'd like to know what a parsec is. So if anybody out there can tell me, please do, because I've never actually heard of a really good term. You can't go online and go to Wikipedia and find that term, because that term is what the real world term is. It is not how they define a parsec in Star Wars, I don't think. I'm not even sure if they ever have defined a parsec. So we hear the monologue here by Werner Herzog, and I've seen some footage from Star Wars Celebration where he asked the Mandalorian to hunt down a target on his behalf, giving him their last known location with a tracking fob, 4 digits of an 8-digit ID number that is 50 years old, and that places that person that the Mandalorian is supposed to go find as being old enough to have lived through the rise of the Empire, the Clone Wars, Naboo Crisis, and a lot of other things. So it's going to be interesting to find out who he's going after. Maybe that's what the first season is going to be about. Maybe that's what the main storyline is going to be about. We don't know for sure. We do know that Werner Herzog here gives the Mandalorian a piece of Beskar. That's a Mandalorian alloy used for used by armorers in a lot of different places. But they craft legendary armor, and one of the people that wore armor made out of Beskar was Boba Fett. This, as we will see here in a second, has the ability to repel blaster bolts, and they say glancing blows from lightsabers. So right here we see that Werner Herzog, he obviously looks like he is former Empire. He has stormtroopers there. He's kind of wearing Imperial garb, so we'll have to see what that is. But by this time, the leftovers of the Empire probably are more outlaws than anything, so they're not going to be as brazen as to attack places, and they're going to be hidden like we just saw them in there. So this kind of looks like it could be a flashback to the Clone Wars right there, and we get all these pictures of things we've seen before, sort of. The horned animal kind of looks like a reek that we saw in Attack of the Clones, but it looks kind of hairy, so it could be a new species, but it could be like genetically modified or a hybrid of that species. I'm not sure yet. We're gonna see. Yeah, I like these scenes. It's just very nice. And then right here, we see a few people. We see Grief Karga, who's the head of the Bounty Hunter Guild. We also see a quick glimpse of Cara Dune, who I guess is a former shock trooper of the Rebel Alliance turned mercenary. And then Moff Gideon, Moff Gideon, I guess is how you say his name. That's who this person is right here.
Waiting for you.
Remnants of possible Clone Wars people. Again.
Yeah? Good.
I'm just intrigued that there's a lot of references to the prequels here. There's a lot of references to the Clone Wars, Rebels. I see some stuff from Disney's canon, which of course all of this is going to have to be Disney canon, but I see stuff that looks like old stuff from Lucas's time, from the movies he made, from the shows that started with him. I see a lot of that older stuff. So I'm intrigued by this, that we might get to dive into a lot more about these things like the Clone Wars or the Mandalorians and what they're about. Looks like there might be some flashbacks here, so we might have some history being shown to us too. Like I said, there's lots of different things in this that really intrigue me. I mean, just lots of different things. And at the very beginning, like I said, the sound of a lightsaber, that's kind of crazy. But if you listen, I think that's a lightsaber you hear. So tell me what you think. Let me know what you thought of the trailer. And let me know if you're interested in seeing this and if you're excited to see this. I am. I will definitely be watching this. So with that said, I am Chris Knight. This is The Real Review 3000. A few things. 1, smash the like button. 2, if you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. 3, hit the bell. Hit the bell. Check out our Subscribers for a Cause video and try to help us out raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And ask me about Panda Suit Mary. Hashtag Panda Suit Mary. Ask me about that. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching and have a nice day.
Hey guys, be sure to subscribe to both channels and make sure to check out our friends in the Fandom Minutes. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and BitChute, and you can also send us an email at Sean@SeanStackhouseReacts.com and chrisknight@TheRealReview3000.com. And be sure to swing by our Teespring store to pick up some awesome merchandise.